for Tuesday, November 19th, 2019. This is the annual reorganization.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin, I would like to thank Mr. Minor for his leadership during the past year. But also I want to thank the entire board for your dedication to our students, dedication to our district, and the perseverance during a year that included some awesome achievements as well as some demanding hurdles. Working together in the last year, you have dealt with redistricting. You have deliberated over whether to completely renovate or totally rebuild schools, facilities. You have overseen audits, tackled tough transportation challenges, searched for ways to make our schools safer, and made the agonizing decision to remove a school's charter. But I also want to apologize to the board for the incident that occurred during our last board meeting. We must show compassion and common sense when instituting safety protocols. I firmly believe that those protocols are necessary, not just to allow the board to conduct its business in an orderly fashion, but to ensure the safety and dignity of every person who walks in the building. And that means everyone. That being said, we must combine safety with common sense and security with compassion. The public is welcome inside this chamber, and we will do better to make sure everyone is safe and everyone feels that they are welcome. With that, we will move forward. At this time, we will begin our nominations for chair, and I believe we have public comments, and we will start with those before we seek nominations. First up is Glenn Gibolina.
Good evening, Superintendent Saunders and Board. For the record, I do have five signatures for my homeowners association. So let's talk about the changing of the guard here. As you all know, I'm a numbers guy. I'm about numbers, and I'm about facts, and I try to fact check everything I can. So one of the things that strikes me as a taxpayer is, how do we get the best bang for our buck? Who's really committed to this job? By the way, only pays about 40 grand. I wouldn't do it for 40 grand. But that being said, we have committed people. You're all more than eligible to be chairs. But as I go back, I look at who puts forth the most effort. So here's the workshops. We got that overhead yet? No, I didn't think so. Okay. So out of the 18 positions that were assigned, 7 of them were filled by Mr. Minor, 6 by Mr. Kennedy. They did all the heavy lifting. Reverend Golden, you had 2. Gina, you had 3. And Scott, you didn't have any. And a lot of these positions are out of town. He has to go out of town twice a month or once a month at least. Someone with a family or friends, would they be willing to step up to the plate to do that? So as I see it, based on the numbers and the fact checking that I've done, that Mr. Minor really has done most of the heavy lifting. And the second thing that I found interesting, as I go back some of the past boards from 79, the changing of the guard it's not required, nor it needs to be changed every year. Back in 81, Canaan did 3. Newman, Bird, and Van Ness all did 2 stints. Larry Simmons did 5. In 97, Mr. Canaan sat on the board for 5 years straight. Frank Bruno, 2 years. Walter Miller, 3. Barbara Harvey was twice. Robert Goss was twice. Karen Carpenter was twice. So it's not unusual not to change the guard. It's certainly your decision, but as I look back at the facts and the amount of effort that Mr. Minor puts in, I would certainly think that he would be considered to stay on for another term. But again, those are your facts. I'm just going by the facts that I have and the dedication that Mr. Minor runs around all over this state. Orlando, he does a lot of traveling, and most of those positions are traveling. The other positions are right in town here. They're not a real big deal to do. But when you go, okay, I'm done. It's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Glenn.
Stephen Moskowitz, please.
I just want to follow up on what Glenn just said. Basically, I've talked before about continuity. I remember when Dr. Green was getting ready to leave, I was encouraging her to stay because it seems like we're constantly changing, and every time we have to start over and learn the process over, or we have new ways of doing things. And so I had fallen under this belief that you guys had to rotate, or that was what you've agreed on. But after looking at the list of chairmen over the years, I see that there are instances, or it was previously the position that chairmen serve sometimes 2 or 3 years in a row. I think it's going to be, you have to start all over. You have to learn the position. You have to go wherever you have to go around the state. And Mr. Minor's been doing that. He's done it to, he's demonstrated his leadership and his commitment to the job. When I went with him to Kissimmee to see the school, I was impressed with the way he was received there. I'm impressed with the energy and the dedication he's put in. I've worked with him for hundreds of hours, digging holes and putting signs up all over the county, taking them down, seeing him on his hands and knees, scooping out dirt that I thought we could do it much easier, but we did it his way. And I've come to really respect his leadership, and I think he's done a great job, and I think that we should continue with that. And I think it would be beneficial to the board to kind of establish a policy of having people serve 2 years. So whoever follows him would also do the same thing to keep that continuity. I understand this job is more complicated than just coming here and managing the meeting and the time that goes into it and learning that job. It seems like when I come to these meetings, I've been coming to them for like 20 years now, every time we get a new chairman, it's a little awkward for the first few meetings. I remember Charlie had to learn it. Mr. Hopes was, he was more, he's been on a chairman quite a time, so he was on the ball with that quite a bit. Mr. Minor had to learn it, and then once you guys get into the position where you're smooth, then again, we're gonna rock the apple cart and start over. So I'm just here to support Mr. Minor and to support the idea of continuing a process of having someone serve almost a 2-year term in the future, from now and into the future. And I know that's up to you, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, Rodney Jones.
Greetings. Kind of a sad day because I don't care who we rotate out, I don't think things are going to be any better. What we've managed to do, I heard about all the accolades and all the things that we've done this year, but we've had some catastrophic fails where we've actually alienated and treated poorly and harmed an entire community. And with that said, the trust is broken. The trust is broken. We saw massive waste. We saw civil rights violations. We saw First Amendment freedom of speech violations. Just massive waste, legal fees, mounting legal fees due to incompetence and surely corruption. We saw our superintendent, I pulled her file. She didn't have one disciplinary action in her file, even though she's been found guilty of corruption. That shows that you are not holding her accountable. And anytime you don't hold someone accountable, it puts you in exactly the position that we're in today. We saw Mr. Minor also lead in December the 4th, charge to have Cynthia Saunders here. When there was widespread protest against her staying due to her previous behavior, allegations of bullying, just the entire 9 yards. So I think we've been not such a wonderful year, but a failure of a year in so many aspects. Large-scale police interventions here because we protest against corruption. And how can something be a lawful assembly with elected officials when you commit corruption, you lie? We've heard Mrs. Hopes just go on television, and you can shake your head and look all you want. Tell bald-faced lies on television, I can prove it. You know, get your attorney and come see me, and I can prove it. We vetted it. So I don't care who's up there and who's sitting in that seat. Our posture will not change. This is not going to be a kumbaya moment for us where we're going to settle down. We'll continue on our posture till everyone on this board who had a part in what they did to those children at Lincoln is removed, and it doesn't. Who gets in that hot seat? You choose to get in there on your own. Our posture will not change. Have a great day.
Thank you. Okay, our nominations will begin. So are there any members of the board that would like to nominate a chair? Dr. Hopes?
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Board members, I wanted to, as we're moving through this process, and I know we don't often get to discuss who's interested, what the expectations are, but first and foremost, the board chair is charged with conducting an orderly meeting, not being the meeting. As some of the speakers mentioned, I agree. I have sat on university boards, and it is the common tenure that a board chair is 2 years and may serve additional 2-year terms. I think all of us that have taken that seat, it takes a number of meetings, a number of meetings. It takes months to understand the operating rhythm of the board. We certainly went through a considerable amount of work through our master board training and getting to know one another. And I believe at the end of my term, we had come to an agreement on process. We agreed to a 5-minute time limit during debate, and each member that requested time for debate was to receive 5 minutes, and then we would go through a second round until we had finished debate. And if for some reason we kind of let that go aside, and it had been working for us. The board chair leads the board in an effective meeting. The board chair is not the meeting. That being said, I nominated Mrs. Gina Messenger last year because she had served as the vice chair. She did it with diligence, she did it with patience, and she did it with tolerance. And that was kind of the pattern for the past 10 years or so, that there was that sort of rise through that. And I have found her to be a student of the issues. She reads, she studies. She has now served as vice chair for 2 years. She's done it with honor and with distinction. But I agree. As we move through this election season, I think what causes me some pause is that so early on in the process, we have 2 members who already have opponents that have filed to run against them. And as a person who ran in a very contested race, that seemed at times to be somewhat partisan, and being chair at the same time was difficult and it was taxing, and I won't say that I recommend that for anyone. Ms. Messenger had requested on more than one occasion that we have a workshop on board policies and our operating procedures. We didn't get around to that, and I think that's wrong. I think this board needs to regroup, and we have a new member now who has not benefited from the master board training. So with that being said, I nominate Gina Messenger to serve as our next chair. I ask her that her first order of business, should we concur and elect her, that she calls for an executive session for the board to meet with staff to discuss safety and security procedures for our board meetings, which should be followed by clear and direct communication to the public so that they understand what the expectations are, and that the chair and the superintendent collaborate to include our law enforcement partners in that meeting. And should she wish to have my support and to serve in any capacity, I'm here to support her and ensure her success. With that, I again restate my nomination of Gina Messenger to be our board's next chair. Thank you, Superintendent.
I will restate my second of that nomination.
Well, Mr. Kinney, you had your hand up, so do you?
I was going to nominate Gina too, so we're all good.
So, I just want to make sure, are there other nominations for chair? Reverend Golden?
I move that the nominations be closed on the said name.
Second.
Okay, there's no other nominations for chair? I guess we'll call the vote. There's one person. Ms. Messenger, are you willing to take the chair?
Yes.
You are willing to take the chair? I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I believe that's 5-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
I 100% agree with what you said. I think that all of us being on the same page on our expectations will hopefully help for that bumpy period that got mentioned. I think that's a normal, I understand we have to get a new working order, but I think if we have a workshop and kind of discuss what our expectations are, review our board policies, I think we really can make that as smooth as possible and really make our expectations clear of how we want a meeting to be run, because that to me is what this is I'm serving the board to have the most orderly meeting possible. So, and that only comes from open communication. So I agree. Thank you. I appreciate everybody's support. Thank you.
Long time coming.
Okay, thank you. Before we go to the nominations of vice chair, we do have a public comment. Mr. Walkowitz.
I have no idea what you want as far as who you're going to nominate for this position, but I would like to see Mr. Golden elected to the position of vice chair. I think everyone else on here has served as either a board or a vice chair, and I believe that it's time for Mr. Golden to step into that position. And I would hope that he would serve for 2 years, and after that, I would hope that he would be our next chair after that. And that would be my piece. Thank you.
Thank you. Nominations are now in order for the office of vice chair. Are there any recommendations? Reverend Golden?
Yes. Was there further public comment?
Right now, there is another public comment section, so let me look to see if we have anything for vice chair. Okay, I'll check. Yes, ma'am.
I have one card, Ms. Rhodes. Okay. Yeah, we have you on the general public comment. Did you want to speak under the vice chair? the other ones that you filled out for other individuals, but just wanted your name.
We'll, as soon as we finish the vice chair, then we'll come to the other public comment and make sure that you can speak. Yes, ma'am. Reverend Golden, you have the floor.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I would nominate Mr. Charlie Kennedy to serve as the vice chair. As we have seen over the last year, this is one of the most contentious parts of our meetings, the duty of the vice chair. Much of the disruption that has taken place in our meetings, much of the harshness that has evolved with respect to the board and the public comes about doing these kind of, this is just a good example right now where we have a disagreement about whether or not public comment is appropriate at this time. I think that we need the calming, mature, steadying hand of someone who has served as the chair, someone who is very, very much compassionate and aware of the need for public input and has demonstrated that over and over again. Someone who, more importantly than all of these other things, is an educator. We have a chair now who is an educator, and
I'm an educator.
not a public school educator. Maybe many years.
Public
We all know.
university. I
We all
was a
know.
public school educator.
Okay. I'll wait till Mr. Hopes gets it all out.
No,
Okay. I know.
people forget it.
That's okay. So I think they understand the gist of what I'm talking about. I think that as we pivot this year to more and more of a concern about our academic progress in this community, to more and more community schools, which is the brainchild of Mr. Kennedy, to more and more concerns with overzealous testing, which I've heard Mrs. Messenger address many, many times. I think we need the strongest team on the field for these kinds of issues this year. So I'm proud to nominate Mr. Kennedy to serve as vice chair with Mrs. Messenger and for our board.
Are there any other nominations, Mr. Minor?
I nominate Board Member Golden.
Madam Chair, you're presiding. With all due deference, I decline. I am the one that came in last year and said that the presiding of our meetings is a fundamental function of the chair. We've had as far as I can recall, there's only been one discussion this year in terms of the agenda. And that resulted in a lot of discussion between Mr. Kennedy and the chair. And so I can't even remember the issue now. An item that he wanted to put on the agenda. And so rather than have the chairmanship of the Manatee County School Board continue to be personality driven on the pretext of experience, when all of you are master board members, except me, as Dr. Hopes has pointed out, I think it would fly in the face of what I would like to see accomplished by this board. More professionalism, more objectivity in our deliberations, more systematic approaches to how we are dealing, particularly with respect to the public. And I think Mrs. Messenger has done an admirable job all year long trying to keep us in the right direction with respect to that part of the meeting. And I think she should be followed by someone with more experience than I have. And so I appreciate the gesture, Mr. Minor, and it means an awful lot to me. I hope my grandchildren are watching. I'd like that to be known, but I still stand by my nomination of Mr. Kennedy, and I decline. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Dr. Hope?
So just, I did teach 8th and 9th grade science in Hillsborough County, in a public school,
Okay.
McLean Junior High School.
I give up.
And it was a long time ago.
I give up.
and Burns Junior High, and was a department chairman.
I give up.
And
Oh, I know. Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
So-
You are right. Does that?
I know you don't have to say that. Just so you know, because I sit here and we talk about educators, and I'm thinking, well, I may not say I'm an educator, but I really am.
Okay.
As you know, I offered before, but only should our newly elected chair wish the assistance that I can offer her from experience on boards and in conducting those meetings that I would consider, but I believe it's the new elected chair's choice on who she would like to work with. And Mr. Kenny and I both have sat in that chair and can provide that assistance. But I'm willing to serve as chair messenger's vice chair should she want to consider that.
Do I get the
So to recap, that's put all on me, right? I would happily work with any of you as vice chair. I find all of you to be assets for multiple reasons. I would be happy if you are vice chair. I'd be happy if he's vice chair. Do not put this on me.
It's not on
You
you.
only get one vote. You only get-
I only get one vote.
First off, there has to be a nomination. So unless he's nominating himself, there's still only one nomination on the floor.
I will nominate Dr. Hopes.
All right, so now we
I
have
accept the
to.
nomination.
Okay. Then that-
Are there other nominations? I have Mr. Kennedy and Dr. Hopes.
Okay.
If there are no further nominations, we'll call for a vote. We will start with the first nominee. All those in favor of Charlie Kennedy, say aye.
Aye.
How many was that?
I don't know.
Raise hands.
Could you raise hands? I
Can we vote for
apologize.
both?
It appears there are 3 for Mr. Kennedy, so the motion passes for Mr. Kennedy. And congratulations, you're now our official vice chair.
Good.
Okay?
May I take a second to say something?
Absolutely.
Madam Chair, while you are still chair?
For 2 seconds, yes,
Okay,
yes.
Reverend Golden, I appreciate the kind words and I appreciate the nomination. Thank you. I will serve this board well. And this is kind of an interesting moment because we now have a chair and a vice chair who are former and will be again and someday educators. But more importantly, the 5 of us are all here to serve the same public. So we have a teachers, not teachers, whatever our path in life has brought us here, we are here to serve this community, and I know we will start doing that very well, starting tonight. So,
Perfect. Thank you.
even better than we've done in the past, put it that way. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Perfect. At this time, I would like to present Mr. Minor with a plaque of his dedication and work and service to our district and our students and our board for the prior year. So, Mr. Minor. On behalf of all of us, we thank you for your service to the school district of Manatee County.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, Dave.
I think there's
Yeah.
a picture. Photo. There's always a picture.
Okay, thank you all. Okay, thank you. There you go.
All right. That was yours.
Madam Superintendent, Chair, do I get a minute to spout off a little bit? And,
Absolutely, Mr. Minor.
Thank you very much, you all, and thank you for the privilege, the honor of serving with you. It's hard to imagine anything more noble than trying to educate all of the people here that were students in Manatee County. That is what makes this country great. It's an investment in making better citizens, and working with you, we've done it. And we have a lot to be proud of, and I'm proud to have served with you and with the superintendent, who I think has been doing a fabulous job. Thank you very much.
you, Mr. Minor.
Thanks, Dave.
At this time, I would like to surrender the gavel to Chair Messenger. So that she is now our current school board board chair. We have all the faith in the world in you. So we are going to take a brief recess and change the gavel to you. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone being younger than 32 as chair? I don't think so. That's great.
Making history.
Okay,
Oh, I'm not that old, you know.
you ready?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to reconvene the meeting. The chair finds good cause to amend the agenda to include all items listed under the agenda amendments on the November 19, 2019 agenda, updated November 19, 2019, and posted to the district website, manteschools.net.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda as amended. I've so waited to say Madam Chair.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
Madam Chair,
We've got a motion and a second.
Madam Chair, I have a motion to amend the motion, or to amend the agenda.
So you're going to make my first time the most difficult possible. That's what I'm hearing. That's cool, thanks. All right.
I will read the motion. What I would like to add, Madam Chair, is a motion to approve the security protocols enacted for public meetings of the school board during 2019.
The motion is to do what now?
To approve the security protocols enacted for public meetings of the school board during 2019. Excuse me, I left a word out. Motion to approve the security protocols enacted for
during-
public meetings. Here's a copy.
Oh, that would be nice.
I've got one for everybody. Send them down. And keep passing them, one for legal, too. So, motion to approve the security protocols enacted for public meetings of the school board during 2019.
Do I have a second?
Madam Chair, do I understand this is a motion to approve an amendment to
A reorganization meeting.
the motion made by Board Member Hopes to approve the agenda, to add to the agenda an agenda item that would constitute I guess this, to amend the agenda to approve security protocols enacted for public meetings of the school board during 2019.
That is my understanding. Are you going to second it?
No.
Okay, well, then I think it fails for lack of a second.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're back on to the original motion.
To approve the agenda as amended, Madam Chair.
Right. Any other discussion?
The original published agenda.
Okay.
Yes, there
Yeah.
was a second. I believe it was Mr. Kennedy.
Excuse me, who seconded Board Member Hope's motion at this point?
You know,
I,
it was Mr. Minor.
Yeah, you did.
I know I
okay,
heard a second.
okay, I'd like to move to amend the agenda, sort of in line with what Board Member Kennedy was saying, to add to this agenda discussion of the security protocols existing now in the school district, and kind of an explanation of what they are, and have that at least for discussion.
Madam Chair, point of order. This is a reorganization meeting, not a business meeting of the board. We are in reorganization according to statutes. We elect a chair and a vice chair, and we set the calendar for board meetings for the next year.
Okay, I've made a motion, and
I'll second the motion to amend the agenda.
okay.
Okay. Is that in proper order? If this is a reorganization meeting, can we add regular board agenda items like this?
Yes, you can discuss it.
Okay.
You're in discussion of the.
Well, and this is only, his motion was discussion. His motion was not anything other than discussion.
You're in a discussion on
Correct.
a motion to amend.
Correct.
Right, but what he wanted to add was discussion of security protocols.
That's my motion, and it's been seconded by Board Member Kennedy.
Is there any other discussion on the
Yes, Madam
discussion amendment?
Yes, Madam Chair. By practice of this board, security procedures and protocol are discussed in executive session.
Madam Chair.
That's why I made the suggestion as the first order of business, not in this meeting, but an executive session that is called, noticed, with the attendees who will be attending the executive session, to include law enforcement, so that the board can have a discussion on security and safety protocols of our board meetings.
Mr. Kennedy?
We can do both. We can have this discussion tonight, and we can have a shade session. The purpose of my motion was to discuss what we can see in plain sight, which we don't need to go into the shade to talk about what the general public can see as far as security measures.
Is there any other discussion on discussion of security protocols as an agenda amendment? Okay, so we are on the agenda amendment for discussion of security protocols. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, I'm sorry, it fails. Okay, so we're back on to just the original approval of the agenda. We have already had a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay. So on the approval agenda, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, so that passes 5-0. Okay, we are on set times and days for regular meetings. Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move for the approval of, I think it is version B of the meeting calendar, which reduces, I think, only by 6 regularly scheduled board meetings for the year. But my motion would be that the meetings on the 4th Tuesday, rather than start at 5:45, they start at 3 p.m. And the first meetings of the month would start at 5:45. That is my motion, Madam Chair.
Is there a second? Okay, I think that dies for lack of a second.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the calendar. I guess I'll refer to it as the first meeting dates calendar. It's packet page 7, and what's in front of us, well, I'll stop at that. Motion to approve the original meeting dates calendar, which is packet page 7, what's in front of us.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the first calendar. The first calendar has, just so that we're all on the same page, 1 meeting in December and 1 meeting in July and 1 meeting in March. Is there any discussion on this? Mr. Minor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think there's value in the alternative, which reduced the number of months where we have 2 school board meetings, and that's the, I guess, option B. The idea is 2 meetings a month doesn't sound like a lot, but on staff and particularly on the chair, it is a significant burden. It's also an opportunity, but I think that what's set forth in the alternative that's been made available to us, which it seems like Mr. Hope seemed to favor, but he wanted to, I don't like the idea of having it at different times, and that's why I did not support his motion. I think it should be, all at the same time, but I think that we could, do without, the 2 extra months where there's just, 1 meeting. And I think it might be helpful, I don't speak for the staff, the superintendent does, to solicit her comments of how this affects staff and the operations of this district. Would it make it worse or make it better? And make that on the record about part of our discussion, if the chair would allow.
Mrs. Saunders, would you like to respond to that?
Certainly, I'll be more than happy. Of course, the staff will support and work at whatever calendar is provided. Probably, if you're looking at the calendar, I would notate the summer, we do have one in July. It is a little difficult in June, where there are times when staff are taking vacations to have all the work prepared in that 2-week cycle. So if you were asking me out of all the other months, that would be one that's probably a little challenging. We have most of our contracts submitted and in place prior to the end of the school year. So by May, most of our work is done for that very reason. But again, we will support whatever decision is in place. But if you were looking at any additional month other than what's listed in calendar A, I would say by eliminating one of those in June would probably be helpful to staff.
Dr. Hopes?
Madam Chair, I move that we amend Mr. Kennedy's motion with the meeting date set forth in item 7B. As you will discover very quickly, these board meetings take a tremendous amount of staff's time to prepare. And so from my experience, and I think Mr. Minor's experience, but he can speak for himself, with having, these months where there are 2 meetings each month, it is an incredible burden on staff. They spend their time preparing for meetings of the board as opposed to doing the job that we are charging the superintendent and her staff to perform. So it is for that reason that I move to amend Mr. Kennedy's motion with the meeting date set forth in item 7B.
I
That is my
second.
motion.
I second Board Member Hope's motion.
Okay, so there was Mr. Kennedy's original motion, which was calendar A, and Dr. Hope's just made a motion to, from what I understand, basically
Replace.
remove the dates, the beginning meeting in June and the beginning meeting in October, so that it would mirror the same dates of,
Basically to replace 7A with 7B.
okay. And it was seconded, and Mr. Kennedy?
Thank you. But you're right. The net effect of that is removing the June meeting and the October meeting. Again, I don't, I'm just not comfortable with us working less. I don't think, I mean, I agree this job can be demanding on staff, but I'm just not comfortable with the school board members saying, we work too much and we need to work less. I think our staff is very good, not just Michelle, who's been here before, but, I don't think these two meetings are going to make or break the board. I'm just concerned about the public perception of the board that we need to take more time off.
Madam Chair.
That's it.
Dr. Hope?
I'd like to remind the members, this is only the calendar that goes to the state for board meetings. It does not include workshops, and it does not include those times when the superintendent or any board member or chair deems it necessary to have an additional meeting. This is only the regularly reported board meetings to the state. And as we have experienced in the past, the superintendent's requested additional meetings. We as board members have requested additional meetings. And it does not include the workshop schedule. And it's twice the number of meetings, nearly twice the number of meetings, 50% more meetings than are required by law. And I don't believe the public would perceive us as working less. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other discussion on the amendment to Mr. Kennedy's motion?
Well, Madam Chair, I thought what is on the table is Board Member Hope's motion to amend.
Yes, but it is an amendment to Mr. Kennedy's
Right.
motion,
It's my understanding that's what's on the table for the
is
vote.
what I said.
Okay.
Okay, well then, for the amendment from Mr. Hopes, Dr. Hopes, amending Mr. Kennedy's original motion to alter these two meeting dates to mirror the second calendar B. All those in favor, please
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
I'm a no. Yeah. Or I'm an aye to the no.
Okay, well then I think that it fails, that I'm gonna be a nay on that. And I think that there were really valid arguments on both sides. So then we're back to Mr. Kennedy's original motion, which is calendar A. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yep.
The reason why, members, that I suggested one of the meetings being held at 3 o'clock is because the staff is here late into the evening. They do not get extra time off the next day. They have to come back. In Sarasota, They have one meeting that is in the evening like ours, and they have another meeting that starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so that staff is not getting out of here at 10 o'clock at night two nights a month. Additionally, Sarasota has their workshops that start at 10 o'clock in the morning, so that all the staff that are involved in workshops are putting their time in during the regular hours. This district is not about us. We are in a governance role. We are here to provide the necessary support and resources to the superintendent so she can operate the district. It's the superintendent that, determines the capacity of her staff to support the board's function. And it's not the other way around. And for too many weeks, I have seen the staff, leave here because once they finish supporting a meeting, they're here sometimes till 11 o'clock regrouping. And I think we should mirror, oftentimes we look at what Sarasota and other districts do, and they have sensitivity to the superintendent and his or her staff. And one meeting a month is in the evening so that more of the public can attend. And the other business meeting, which keep in mind is to conduct the business of the board. They start earlier in the afternoon, so they finish at a reasonable hour. And I'm trying to be considerate of the superintendent. The superintendent will tell you she's going to do whatever the board asks her to do because we're her boss. So I wouldn't expect her to respond in any other way. But from an organizational perspective, we are taxing the administration beyond what is needed. And I think we need to be sensitive to our core. Our core is not supporting board meetings. Our core is to educate the children of Manatee County and to do the best job possible. We need staff that is ready to go in the next morning. And if we have 2 long nights, including all the other meetings that they have after hours that we don't see unless we're here, but you can drive by and see whose cars are in the parking lot at 9 o'clock at night. And I just think if it's necessary, it's fine. But I'm here to tell you and plead with you, it's not necessary that every meeting we have at these late hours. And so, I do request the board's consideration for the staff's time, and at least in the months where we have 2 meetings in the month, have that second meeting start earlier in the afternoon. And that would be my motion, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
Madam Chair, point of order, if I may.
Sure.
That's the same motion that we've already.
No.
No, it's not. The first motion was a different calendar. This is a different calendar than what his original motion was. His original motion had that piece and also a different calendar. So it's actually not the same.
Okay. I'm looking at both calendars. Mm-hmm. And the difference, as has been stated more than once, between the calendars is an October single meeting date and a June single member date.
Yes.
Other than those 2 additional dates, the 2 calendars are identical.
Agreed.
All right? And what he is asking, instead of changing the times, instead of changing the dates of the meeting, he has already asked to change the times too. That was in the first motion that was made.
I see them as 2 different motions. They really are a different calendar.
That's fine.
Is there a second? Okay, fails for lack of a second.
All right?
So we're back to Mr. Kennedy's original motion, which is just calendar A. Is there any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the meeting dates and times that are in calendar A, the first calendar that we have, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. 1 nay, so 4-1. Thank you very much. Okay, our next item is board committee assignments. And this was something that we were all emailed, just so that we can look over the committee assignments and any, notes, changes, any type of conversation that you'd like to bring up in the future, that it's requested that you please just give all of that information to, Ms. Arajo over there, our new agency clerk, by December 2nd, is what the email stated. I don't believe we need to have a discussion about this tonight, unless you'd like to.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the board committee assignments for now.
I don't, my understanding is that it will be brought forward at the December 10th meeting. That was what we were
Oh, okay.
requested, that we will have the final list in place at December 10th meeting, and that if you believe there's any changes that need to be made, to submit them to our agency clerk. Yes.
Okay, I guess we can do this discussion on December 10th, but the one, and it's on the list, but we do need to discuss what board member will be the representative on the, I'm blanking on the audit committee. So, I mean, I guess we can do that on the 10th, so.
Right, and if there's somebody
Other
that's
than that,
wishing,
I have no changes otherwise.
if there's somebody that has a desire to do that, I think that they can contact, Ms. Arajo.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. And it looks like at this point, I'm going to recess our regular meeting. And then I'm going to open our annual meeting of the Manatee School Board Leasing Corporation. So I'm going to call to order the annual meeting of Manatee County, or Manatee School Board Leasing Corporation. And then, under the Articles of Incorporation for the Manatee School Board Leasing Corporation, the members of the not-for-profit corporation are the members of the school board. The Articles of Incorporation provide that the board of directors, unless changed by the membership, are the members of the school board. The officers are the vice president, or the president, vice president, and secretary/treasurer. The articles also provide that the chair of the school board is the president, the vice chair is the vice president, and the secretary-treasurer is the secretary of the school board, which is the superintendent. And I don't see if there's a motion to be had.
Approval spelled out.
That's just the statement that we have to do.
Close the meeting.
Awesome.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn the annual meeting of the Manatee School Board Leasing Corporation.
Second.
All right. With that, I will,
Without objection?
without objection, I will adjourn the meeting of the, our annual meeting of the Manatee School Board Leasing Corporation. And with that, I'm banged this gavel so many times today, I will reconvene regular business meeting. And with that, we have public comments. And I will hand it over to our vice chair, Mr. Kennedy.
All right, to follow Madam Chair's lead for the past few months, I will read this, our bylaws verbatim. Public comment is not an open forum to discuss matters unrelated to education, to support or oppose candidates for public office, or to engage in commercial speech, attempting to sell a service or product to the school board or public. Also, public comments are not a forum to attack individual school system employees or board members. Any such complaints should be submitted in writing to the superintendent for appropriate handling. Finally, this is not a forum for addressing issues involving individual students. Because of privacy concerns, such issues should be submitted in writing to the superintendent for appropriate handling. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the board. Speakers, please stand at the podium and do not approach the dais. If a speaker has a handout to present to the board, please give those to the agency clerk when you come up. And board members, if I may just add one thing real quick. We have had some debate among the school board members about what is appropriate for public comment. And I want to reiterate my understanding is that criticism of the job performance of board members or the superintendent is fair game. Personal attacks are not, of course. So we had some disagreement about that as a board previously, but I do want to make that clear that we are all public officials, and we can certainly, we're happy to hear your criticism, but we would ask you to avoid personal attacks, please. Okay, that's it. First up, Sean LaHoe, if I said that right. LaHoe? Sir, did I pronounce that correctly? LaHoe, sorry, thank you.
Good evening. Tonight I stand before you as a concerned parent and taxpayer. Elected officials have been bestowed the title honorable. Honorable, an adjective meaning used as a title indicating eminence or distinction, given especially to judges or certain high officials. Eminence, a noun meaning an important, influential, or distinguished person. In your position as a school board member, you are influential. You have the ability to influence and shape the minds of our youth through your actions. Your actions. In the past 2 months, we have seen a superintendent have her settlement refused by the State Education Practices Commission for inflating graduation rates. Your actions? None. We've seen Rodney Jones, a black man and former NAACP president, speak up for Bridget Mendel when she was cut off during public comment, infringing on her First Amendment right. Your actions? Have him removed and arrested. We have seen Pastor Arthur Huggins, a black, upstanding member of our community, stand up silently to stretch his aching back in the rear of the room after public comment was moved to the end of a 4-hour meeting. Your actions? Have him removed. Well, members, my mom always said, actions speak louder than words, and your actions are not actions of eminence and certainly not actions that entitle you to be called honorable. Your actions are being watched, and you will have consequences. Tonight, you've closed the chapter of 2019 and open the chapter of 2020. Tonight, you have the ability to forge a new direction of honor or repeat past patterns. Tonight, you have reorganized. Just know that the community, taxpayers, teachers, students, and voters are watching your actions closely. It's time to restore honor to this great school district. It's time to be the role models the voters elected you to be. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Caridad. Yes, I'll let you come up and introduce yourself so I don't mess it up.
Hi, my name is Caridad Guanche.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm a concerned citizen and member of the community. In the last few months that I have been attending to the school board meetings, I have seen time and time again injustice being served, from taking a school away from a community and the program it provided. You have fired staff and teachers who were invaluable to their students, all with false allegations. When teachers have come forward and spoken their truth and that of their student, you undermine them. When students have asked for their school to be fixed, you have ignored their calls for help. Furthermore, you have arrested those citizens who speak out against you, to the point you have a pastor removed because he's too peacefully due to his back hurting. It is shameful that you all sit up here and you haven't done nothing really for the community. But you have to understand, we put you up there and we will vote you out. With that being said, sorry, I lost my, okay, there we go. That's it, that's all I gotta say. I have come here to the board meeting over and over time, and I'm sorry, but there is a community out there who've been telling you guys over and over and over. And I feel like you have not listening to them, people being arrested, people being kicked out. Come on, I mean, that's just ridiculous. And this is actually from someone that's actually out, like I'm not part of that community or part of that school, but if I can see what's going on, it's bad. All right, that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Glenn Gibolino.
Okay, put 5 minutes on
Glenn, those have to be in 24, according to our bylaws, a request for a group 5-minute comment has to be in 24 hours in advance.
24 hours in advance. And that's every time, right?
That is, anytime you want to comment representing a group, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so, as a taxpayer and general citizen, let me reiterate my previous concerns. Again, I've requested an overhead, so not only the city and audience can see the documents that I would like to produce, but also the television audience. So I'd like to know if I can get an answer on that. You know, for the last couple of years, I've been up here ringing the bell about renewable energy, hardening the schools. So my first question would be to the 3 board members that approved $24 million for the Gene Whip School. Is it going to be hardened? Is it going to be a hurricane shelter? Has anybody informed the county that perhaps it's going to cost us between 7 and 10% ante up and maybe harden that school? Has the construction class interacted with this board and say, I think we should harden this? As a citizen, I think we need to be every school should be hardened. You know, they're already built the Florida building codes. You have to give them a room and some other stuff. It's not a big deal. But I haven't heard this board bring that up. And to the other 2 members who said we needed a new school, has that construction class interacted with you on a renewable component that I've been up here for 2 years? I've heard stories that, yeah, we're gonna reiterate some of the renewable components. Is it going on this $24 million project? Because not only we had 6 roofs, we got 7 roofs now with the new building addition for the $24 million. So that's, you know, as a taxpayer, I want those answers, those questions answered. You know, I had the opportunity to go back to Bayshore this week, and nothing's changed. Kids are still using their iPhones, their earplugs are in there. I would encourage this board to go sit in a damn classroom and see the time our teachers are wasting babysitting these non-disciplined students. I get tired of it as a taxpayer. DeSantis, just I was watching the thing, $47,000, every teacher's gonna start. Well, take 25% of that away and they're making $35,000. As a taxpayer, I'm outraged that we got glorified babysitters in our schools 25% of the time. You need to sit in on classroom, go in unannounced, send someone undercover, and see the absolutely waste of taxpayers' money if we can get 25% more production out of our teachers because the students didn't have their cell phones. This community would be better off. The grades would go up, and we'd have a better community. All I'm saying, you need to do a demonstration project at one of the schools. 86 all the phones, and if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But the way this continues, time after time, our teachers are teachers, not babysitters.
Thanks, Glenn. Bridget Mendel? For a second, just in case she's outside. Okay. Junior Salazar? I did not see Junior in the room. Not here. Okay. Joanna Phillips?
Good evening. I'm not gone anywhere. I'm still here. As I've stated before, I started working for this district in 2004. To me, I calculate my years 0405, 0506, 0607, 0708, 0809, 0910, 1011, 1112, 1213. That was 9 years for me. I left, came back. 13, 14, 15, 16, that's 10 years. 16, 17, that's 11. 17, 18, 12. 12 years, right? One disciplinary action because I spoke out against someone who attacked me. Yet, when I become a probationary employee again in 1920, I'm terminated as a probationary employee. Gina's huffing because you guys get tired of hearing repetitive things. You huff and puff when we come before you as concerned citizens and staff of this school board, of this county. We don't have a voice. When we speak out, I guess I was the test dummy to speak out and to be terminated and discriminated on. Yet Saunders committed fraud and she's still working. She still gets a paycheck. She committed fraud. Joanna did not. I spoke out against your corruption, which hers is far worse than mine. And I'm terminated. I've lost some things that I shouldn't have lost. If you take out the time, how about not changing your board meetings to 3 o'clock? How about set aside, go to the Civic Center and let your employees tell you how unsatisfied they are with this district, with working under you. They're afraid to speak out because you terminate people that do speak out. You terminated me because I spoke out on your corruption. Teachers are afraid to speak. Staff, they're not satisfied. They need a paycheck. If they could all win the lottery and not work under you, they would.
Betty Rhodes.
Good evening. My name is Betty Rhodes. I know you're tired of seeing me up here speaking up, but you're going to see me for the rest of the year till we get LMA back. But the reason why I'm up here talking, I got very upset about 2 weeks ago. I think Doug Wagner, you over bus transportation. It was a wreck. Somebody hit the school bus on Medoja and Canal Road. They did a call to the parents, but hey, they didn't say where it was, and my grandchild was on that bus. And I couldn't find him. Yes, I got mad. And when you call out there to the bus transportation, you cannot get through. And I think you need to check that. And I'm still upset because you ain't got no buses over there for our kids at LMA. And you need to get it together. Now, I had wanted to talk before y'all change chairman and everything, because I'm going to let you know. It's a HIPAA law out here. And Gina, I'm going to let you know, one of your colleagues was talking about you at Link LMA. And it was it went viral. And say you have a memory problem, memory loss, and you do not remember them taking over Lincoln. So, somebody need to get themselves together. And it was Dave Miner who did it. And another thing, I wasn't here last week when I called my brother, and I called Rodney my brother too, because that's what my brother, the late, great Seymour Sells, called Pop and Rodney, brother, and I picked it up. You got security out there. When they took Pop out of here, because he have a doctor's note for his bag, they're out there talking about 1 to go and 3 more to get out of here. It's a setup. Now, I did call up to Tallahassee, I'm letting you know. A school board member or whoever worked for the school board hollering out in a meeting can be arrested or kicked out too. Just like you kick us out, they can be kicked out too. Standing up, no, that's disrupting your board meeting. If they got to do all that hollering and everything, I am for what is right. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going anywhere till we get our school back, because you took it illegal. It wasn't about no water bill. We find that out. It was a crisscross, so you'll find out when that day come. But like I say, you need to watch yourself. You got your board members talking about you. Say you have a memory loss. And he said it for everybody to hear it. And he did not supposed to say that if he a chairman of the board. And I hate for somebody to say these people, you these people too. I'm black and I'm proud of my color. And I don't know about you, Mr. Golden. I'm proud of mine. I'm black and I'm proud. Thank you. Oh, and Jeannie, if you ever want to see this, it's on here. I'll let you see it.
Reverend Pastor Huggins. I don't see Pastor Huggins here. Excuse me, Reverend Huggins. Okay, Ronnie Jones. You're up if you want it. Okay. Ma'am, you have to sign up for public comment. That's okay. We'll meet again on December 10th. You can, the agenda's posted a week in advance. Then we will have the superintendent address you after the meeting. Okay, you bet. Reverend Maison. Okay.
I do thank you for the opportunity. I want to say congratulations to Mr. Messenger and Mr. Kennedy, Reverend David Maison of the Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church family. I'd like to give you a couple of points of advice. First of all, you probably need to get you a parliamentarian. I see a lot of confusion when it comes down to areas of parliamentary procedures. And then also, the gentleman that made a comparison with Sarasota to Manatee, you don't want to do that because that's a different monster when you're talking Sarasota and Manatee when you're making a comparison for issues in the school district, because you already saw what Sarasota did, and that was less than what we know about here in Manatee County. We came here today to just hope and pray that we can get some reasoning with a chairperson, knowing that she was going to be elected to be fair in her his or her doing. We're just looking for transparency. We're looking for equality. We're looking for integrity, and we're looking for honesty. And we're looking for a board that will make the school district superintendent accountable for actions of his or her actions, whatever they may be. We know, and most of the people know throughout the state of Florida, what's going on here in the Manatee County area. And are we satisfied? No. Can we do anything about it? No. One recommendation that I would have to the chairperson is this before I go, is that you made a comment earlier about talking about the security that's going to be presented in a meeting. I think it would be wise if you invite some of the leaders of some of the communities to come in to know what those security measures are going to be. I don't think it's fair to the community that you, the board, go in and make the adjustments or make the decision on what the security measures are without the public not knowing, and you find out about it once you get here. So I would recommend that you get some of the leaders out of some of the communities, the various communities, and allow them to sit in on what is being said about those security measures. I think that's just my way of making a recommendation. I think it'd be a good idea. And Mr. Kennedy, I want to thank you for bringing that to their attention about moving the security. We're not barbarians, we're people. You don't have to cage us up. I think doing that, and there's no fear in here, there's no threats in here. I'll give you one. The first meeting was out of hand, but since then you've seen nothing but organization. We've seen more confusion with the board than we have with the members that are sitting behind me. And I think that's something that we all probably need to look at a little bit more. Bless you.
Thank you. Michelle Williams?
Good evening, and I thank you all so much again for allowing me to come and speak before the board. While my heart is with the situation that happened with Lincoln Memorial Academy, I feel that the staff has organized themselves, and I feel that Mr. Hundley is being represented correctly. But right now, my main concern is, after speaking with my team of lawyers up in Tampa, I'm announcing tonight, Mr. Dye, you'll have it official sometime after midnight tonight, the email. We're officially moving forward with a civil rights violation lawsuit for the students who were withdrawn from this district. And the investigator report on pages 5 through 7, it says, stated by the investigator and witnesses, Specialist Carella said it appeared Mrs. Saunders directed school principals to identify credit deficient students between the ages of 16 and 18 and withdraw them. Their office, which handles the notices, saw a large spike without the home enrollment forms, and they notified the supervisor, Mr. Lundeen. Mr. Lundeen informed Mrs. Saunders that signed letters of intent were required for any student withdrawn with the W-24 code. Soon after, the OSA saw an increase in notices submitted directly by the schools instead of by the parents. Some stated they never intended for their students to be homeschooled. Parents were angry at being misled and understanding the process and responsibility of the home educations. Parents are required to fill out a notice of intent, establish a Florida education program, which many had taken to mean as a withdrawal form. Mr. Lundeen has alerted that it appeared home education enrollments were the dumping ground for credit deficient students. My stomach hurt me so bad reading these 206 pages from the Department of Education. This hurt me. This hurt me in more than one way. Because for 400 years, blacks were already oppressed with education, where we depended on slave owners' wives and children to teach us how to read. And now here it is, we have a school board superintendent with so much power to disenroll these students and deprive them of an education. Education is the key that moves this country forward. Many of you are Trump supporters, and the only thing that I support with his statement of making America great again, I suggest this board do it.
Ms. Williams. Margie Woodson. I have not seen. Oh, there she is. Ms. Woodson?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I speak loud and clear because when we're sitting back there, it's hard to hear what's being said. So, I'm Margie G. Wilson from Palmetto, Florida, born and raised there, across the street from Lincoln, went to school there. And we are continuing to come before you because we see a need. And we want to know, when are you all going to go back to just being people like we are? You sit on a throne and you cast down different issues to happen. Are you texting now? Because I know you text when we're up here. But I want to know, when is it going to be that you all know that we care about what happened to us? We don't sit in these chairs, but we sit in other chairs. And we do represent people, and we do try to help people. And we don't see this. We're having a difficult time seeing what you were elected to do when you're going to do it. But now I'm happy tonight because I see we have a new chair and we have a new assistant chair. So maybe the things that we've been asking for will get heard. Maybe with the changing of the guards, maybe you all will listen that we care. We don't just come down here because we don't have nothing else to do. We come because we thought if we keep coming and keep coming and keep saying the same things of how much we care and how much we want to see you care, maybe one day you'll wake up one morning and say, we have not been fair. Let us as people be fair because you're not going to sit in those chairs always. Somebody else is going to be sitting in those chairs. So while you're in these chairs, be fair. Treat us as people. We're not animals. Treat us as people. We voted for you. We campaigned for you. We gave funds for you. And now this is what we get in return, that you don't know us anymore. You don't respect the fact that we're people that supported you when you were people like us walking around vying for positions. So we need you to please understand we are people that need to be treated like people, be considered as people, and stop ruining people's lives and sit there with iron faces like you haven't done it, because God sits high and he looks low. And he knows I believe in him dearly with all my heart. And you're going to get it one way or the other. So why not be fair now while you have the chance to do it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Last on the list, Reverend Huggins. Junior, I called your name already. Board members, would you mind if I allow Mr. Salazar to step forward? You're right. His name was actually on the list. Junior, come on up.
All right.
Junior, just because you weren't here at the beginning, just a reminder, criticism of job performance is fine, but anything personal or not related to work is out of bounds.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, interestingly enough, I had a meeting with corporate HR for my company for a complaint that was submitted, and I assume it was by someone from this meeting. And the complaint read, "Please be aware, Eleuterio Salazar Jr., who is a political candidate and your employee, has appeared more than once before the school district of Manatee County in a One Main Financial shirt. Does this mean that One Main Financial is supporting his campaign and endorsing his political speech or platform?" At the meeting Tuesday night, he gave a political speech that turned out to be half true and missed key details about the situation. His political speech is on TV and online, and to me it looks like your company endorses him. Is this where One Main Financial stands? That's an issue. There are 3 things that I'm not okay with. Don't mess with my daughter, don't mess with my family, and don't mess with my money. And you've messed with my money. Why? Because now they're looking at me as if I'm a liability for doing what I was called to do, which is to speak before you. And mind you, when I spoke, the only people in this room was this board and a few employees that were here, because it was hardly anyone here by the time we got to the 4-hour breaking point. So I'm trying to figure out who this person was, and I can only think of one. And I've obtained legal counsel, and all of you will be receiving a cease and desist order. And I hope that it ends here, because if I lose my job, because I have violated no policy whatsoever, if I lose my job, listen, all you've given me is extra time to come be here more and more. And while this person may be baptized and claims to be religious, ain't nothing but a wet devil.
All right. Madam Chair, that concludes public comment.
All right.
Oh, actually, Reverend Huggins just came in.
Oh,
Mr. Huggins? I have already called your name. You're going to be last if the board is okay with. You're up now.
I appreciate you allowing me to speak. Most of you all, my name is Arthur Huggins. Most of you all realize that last time I was here, I actually was unfortunate enough to be able to address the board. So I'm fortunate to be here tonight to share words based on what actually happened to me on last week. One, I felt very humiliated and insulted, and just to see the level of aggression that has started to take place against, I'll say this, and I say it discreetly, against black people. Since the time I've started coming here, and certain events sometimes will prompt you to become more aware or gain interest in certain events, and it happened to be behind the LMA that I first started attending the board meeting just recently. There's been time in the past where I have been able to be engaged with the school district and dealing with matters, so forth and so on. But I really wanted to come here tonight to stress, again, the embarrassment, the humiliation, and the level of aggression that I felt that was taken against me undeservingly. I know everybody don't like everybody, and I don't expect everybody here to like me. There's a way that you can disagree and disagree agreeably. Again, what I saw happen to me, and just it almost seemed like an intimidation mode from the very time I walked in. I was actually welcomed by a gentleman. I later found out his name was Barber, who told me that I needed to leave the room, that there was no room in here. And I actually wound up standing by the door looking at the chairs that was actually available during the time that he actually spoke and said that to me. And then I actually found a seat in the back, pretty much where I remained throughout the rest of the meeting. And there I actually went against the wall probably about 3.5 hours later in the meeting and rested my back against the wall. And the gentleman approached me, I think in a very unprofessional and undeserving way, stating that either I sit down or I leave. I began to try to have a conversation with him as quietly as possible, and that didn't happen. I don't really, at this time, think it's sufficient for me to go into a lot of whole details. It's just the fact that I think after that, you all pretty much saw the conduct and the way things were handled after that manner. And not at once was I ever, only until the officer came and asked me, could I step outside and actually talk with him. I told him I had not a problem at all with doing that. Again, I thought it was very undeserving, and I'll take my time. I'll take my seat at this time.
Pastor Huggins, before you go, I just want to, the superintendent started this meeting addressing that situation and apologizing to the community for what happened to you. I can't speak for the board, but I would like to extend my apology to you. And I think I can make you this promise, and we can fulfill it, that will never happen to you or anybody else again.
I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Madam Chair, that's it for public comment.
Okay, next on the agenda is the superintendent's remarks.
Yes, I stated most of mine at the very beginning, but I look forward to the next year with the new leadership at the helm of the board, and I know we're going to do a lot of great work that lies ahead, so thank you.
And the next thing is board comments. It doesn't have a list of who, so I'm just going to go down the line and start with Dr. Hopes.
Congratulations to our chair and vice chair.
Thank you.
Reverend Golden.
Congratulations. Congratulations to you both, and thank you all, for the great privilege, opportunity to serve as the chair for this past year. I think together we did great things, and I look forward to this coming year. Thank you.
Okay, I'll be short and sweet too. I just have a couple things. Last Saturday, I went to see the Braden River High School girls basketball team. If you weren't already aware, the Braden River girls basketball team is a nationally ranked high school girls team, and it was a dramatic come-from-behind win. So if you get a chance, get out and see some basketball this season. Also, I ran into Ed Goff. You may remember Ed. He was our big impact fee advocate, and he raised a point with me today, and I just want to bring it to you, and then we could discuss it at a future meeting. But he mentioned to me that he believes that the county is about to embark on updating their impact fee study, and he recommended that we as a board, just like we did last time, discuss joining with the county commission to reduce the cost and partner on that impact fee study. So I just want to bring that up for a future meeting. Thank you. Congratulations, Madam Chair. History-making night.
I guess so.
Youngest chair.
Am I? I don't know.
I think you are the youngest chair.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you to the board, and in the last 3 years of my time on this board, I've seen this district come a long way, And it's been because of the great leadership we've had up here. And so it's really an honor. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting.
Good start.
Boom.